am DIETRICH KLINGHARDT. I'm a medical doctor and I've been in practice for almost 43 years now. And I wanted to let you know something new. And this little lecture is only going to be 15 minutes or so. It's probably the most important lecture that I've ever given in my life. It sums up all the experience I've had and introduce you to a simple, inexpensive healing tool that you probably have not heard about. We have an onslaught of chronic illness in our time. The health span, the years that we spend in good health, is dramatically shortening every year, and the key cause of that are chronic neurological illnesses such as Alzheimer's disease in children, autism, learning problems, behavioral problems in children, ADHD. In adults, it's chronic fatigue, the fibromyalgia, the multiple sclerosis, ALS, Parkinson's, and so forth. In the 1980s, we thought we found a solution for it by diagnosing candida and other molds as the underlying cause of illnesses. Then we discovered in the 1990s that there is a deeper reason for the breakdown of the immune system, and looked at the herpes viruses, Epstein-Barr, herpes simplex, cytomegalovirus, herpes type 6, and so forth. And then in the early part of this century, we discovered Lyme disease as the real cause of illness that was deeper than the other issues that we found before, and tried to address the chronic illnesses by addressing Lyme disease. That was quite successful in some cases, but in increasing numbers of people it is no longer successful. And so through the work of some brilliant researchers, Frank Rossetti, Judy Mikovits, we found that the deeper cause of the illness are the human endogenous retroviruses. These are viruses deeply embedded in our DNA for probably millions of years, and they have been silenced by our different wonderful administrative mechanisms that we have in our cells. Largely it's methylation and acetylation. So some of the practitioners listening to this got lost in the area of methylation, of DNA methylation, and other issues connected with the DNA. But the real culprit is that these retroviruses, once they're unleashed, once they start duplicating, cause symptoms very similar to AIDS. We refer to it as AIDS minor. People have chronic fatigue, they lose weight, they have food allergies, leaky gut, they have inflammation in the brain. It looks like the entire system is on fire. And when we look a little deeper, we find all the infections I mentioned before, but at the deepest level, we find the retroviruses. And now the search was on how to treat them, how to silence them again. What is unleashing them? Well, I can sum that up in one sentence. It's the exposure to Wi-Fi radiation, the electromagnetic fields that we're bathed in now that are ever increasing, has been shown to unleash the retroviruses. Also, a number of the environmental toxins have damaged our natural immune system, like the microbiome, the healthy bugs that live in us, that are assuring that no pathogens are allowed in the group, are allowed in. And our microbiome has severely been damaged by glyphosate, atrazine, and other environmental toxins. The list goes on and on. Basically, we have created a situation where our immune system is no longer to even control its own endogenous pathogens that we're born with. And so our system is crying out for help. And we've been investigating this issue. I was in contact with Judy Mikovits 12 years ago at our think tank in California, learned about the retroviruses, and we've been looking at the commercial pharmaceutical agents. We've been looking at different herbal preparations, and the most powerful treatment that covers not only the retroviruses but also the molds, also the Lyme spirochetes, also the other viruses, is one simple herb, one simple plant that grows in the Mediterranean. It's called Mediterranean rock rose is the conventional name, but it's really different species of cistus. The species that we've selected for our work is called Cistus incanus, and it is harvested in Sardinia. It's wild crafted, wild harvested. It's not grown commercially, and Sardinia had no rainfall for a number of years, and the only plant thriving in that environment is the Sardinian cistus. And so this plant develops a huge number of plant-based antioxidants and plant adaptogens, and has given it a huge armamentarium, a huge number of plant-based ingredients that have this incredible array of effects, from antiviral, antibacterial, anti-mold, and antiretroviral. A wonderful study shows even effects against HIV, which is the most well-known and most aggressive of the retroviruses. And it's been shown even in cases where HIV, the virus, was resistant to multiple antiretroviral pharmaceutical agents, cistus was successful in treating that. And so what do we do with it? Well, cistus in generally is used as a tea, and the tea is prepared in a certain way. It is brought slowly to a boil, just very briefly, with the lid on, because there is a lot of essential oils in the tea that evaporate if you don't have the lid on. And then you simmer it for 5 minutes. And then the important thing is that that tea is sweetened with stevia. Stevia has been found to be dramatically effective for Lyme disease, for Lyme spirochetes. In fact, it was compared by Professor Ifasapi to triple antibiotic therapy, admittedly in an in vitro study, and was found to be more successful as antibiotic treatment. And so by combining the cistus tea, sweetening it with stevia, combining it with stevia, has propelled it forward in being probably the most powerful treatment for Lyme disease, but also for mold illness, but also for Epstein-Barr and the herpes viruses, and for the human endogenous retroviruses. And so what we like people to do, an adult should drink 6 to 8 cups of this tea every day. The tea should be rebrewed 2 more times, because some of the polyphenols only come out when it is rebrewed for the 2nd time or the 3rd time. And this has become the foundation for the treatment for all chronic illnesses in my work, in my practice, with really dramatic results. We have a newsletter that comes out from Key Science that will give you all the literature, the quotes, the references in the literature that support what I'm saying here. And a final remark is there is many suppliers of cistus tea now on the market that have caught up with our research, but it is really the number of plant-based adaptogens that give it this tremendous effect against all the different microbes is only found in one particular species of Cistus incanus that grows wildly in Sardinia. The moment cistus is planted in fields, it has to be sprayed against insects and plagues, and it has to be it is sort of spoiled. It doesn't develop the same strength that it does when it's wildly grown. That's the only condition under which it develops this incredible strength. So to sum it up, we use Cistus incanus For the treatment of chronic Lyme disease, we use it for the treatment of autism. We use it as a foundation of the treatment of Parkinson's, MS, ALS, chronic fatigue. We use it for hyperactive children or children with attention deficit. And it is published as a potent treatment for some cases of leukemia. It's also used in my own office, in my practice, as a treatment for various cancers, because it is very well known that many cancers are really triggered by retroviruses, retroviral activity. So I think I leave it here to keep it short and sweet. The Sisters Tea is available from Key Science, and it is, of course, it is a limited supply because it is widely grown, and we are limited to whatever nature gives us. So I suggest give it a try. Give it a try. It's a wonderful tasting tea. It's the only treatment for Lyme disease, for mold illness, for herpes infections, for retroviruses, for chronic fatigue that actually tastes good and is very affordable. So until next time, I'm Dr. Klinghardt.